They said Sony would never dare to re-enter the handheld arena. Well, they were wrong. That is the bold proclamation echoing across gaming forums, social media groups, and hushed industry insider sessions. Everyone seems to have an opinion, but only a handful of sources claim any real insight into what is rumored to be Sony's most audacious project in years. An entirely new handheld console that might just revolutionize portable gaming. What is really happening behind the scenes of this rumored new PlayStation adventure, and how does it connect to advanced technology, ambitious design choices, and a potential release window that has fans scrambling for more details? Today we will dive into every single rumor, snippet, and hint, weaving them together to form a sweeping story of risk, creativity, and possibly unstoppable momentum. In this video, we are going to untangle an enthralling web of speculation. Whether the device truly wields groundbreaking AI upscaling, exactly why it might be loaded with memory that stands toe-to-toe with the formidable PlayStation 5, and how Sony's flirtation with handheld gaming, spanning their golden PlayStation Portable era to the ill-fated PlayStation Vita, ties into the strategic decisions now being made. We will also explore the deeper reasons that might have driven Sony to roll the dice in a market that once burned them. Why return, and why now? Picture the earlier announcements, back when the whisper was that Sony could not resist repeating the triumph of the PlayStation Portable, a device that stunned the world with its sleek design and home console-level experiences on the go. Ambitions soared, but the subsequent PlayStation Vita, despite critical praise, collapsed commercially. Some industry watchers saw that heartbreak as the final stake in Sony's handheld coffin. Yet here we are, confronted with whispers of a contraption so jam-packed with advanced technology that it makes you wonder whether Sony has been planning this comeback for years. In fact, sources suggest that success with the newly released PlayStation Portal stirred Sony's desire for an even mightier handheld experience. The Portal, launched in late 2023, was basically a remote play device, letting gamers access big titles from their console, but it lacked standalone processing muscle. Some fans felt it was a short-lived novelty, while others raced to buy it, eager to experiment with streaming on the go. Soon, speculation ran wild. Was Sony simply testing the waters for something more robust? Or could the Portal be the only portable effort from them for the foreseeable future? Here's the rumored bombshell. Several new reports from reliable insiders claim that the next Sony handheld will come loaded with advanced AMD technology, enabling AI-based upscaling akin to the new capabilities expected in the PlayStation 5 Pro. The very name PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR, has been thrown around among developers, fueling theories that a custom chipset is in the works, built specifically for this upcoming portable platform. Supposedly, we are talking about a specialized architecture known as UDNA, a rumored evolution from AMD's RDNA generations, which might give this device the power to push visuals at unprecedented detail levels for a handheld. Before we continue, let us pause and appreciate the significance of that. AI upscaling alone could bridge enormous performance gaps, letting this rumored console take smaller rendering resolutions and blow them up to crisp, high definition, or even higher quality on a handheld screen. It could be the advantage that helps Sony hold its own against other portable heavyweights, such as the Steam Deck or the various Windows-based handhelds that have popped up in the last several years. If you think that is an exciting development so far, do let us know by giving this video a like. Your support means a lot and helps us know you are enjoying these deep dives. But back to the major question, how do you fit that level of technology into a portable design without sacrificing battery life, portability, durability, and cost? The rumored new device is said to feature 16 gigabytes of memory. Silver-tongued insiders have described it as LPDDR5X, a type with high bandwidth, though not as wide as the memory bus of the PlayStation 5. That means more than enough overhead to handle modern games, but with only around 1/3 the memory bandwidth of the full console. Will that hamper performance noticeably? Or is Sony relying on advanced cache strategies and AI upscaling to keep the experience butter smooth? Interestingly, there are claims that the device might incorporate 4 megabytes of L2 cache and 16 megabytes of so-called mall cache, thought to be a cousin to AMD's Infinity Cache. If true, that would be critical for boosting performance, since it would reduce the reliance on slower external memory calls. Without diving too deeply into all the technical jargon, just know that large caches can be a game changer. They allow the hardware to keep frequently accessed data close at hand, thereby accelerating workflows and bridging any deficits in raw bandwidth. Now, you might be wondering, how exactly does that help gamers? Well, imagine you are exploring a cinematic, open-world environment. The last thing you want on a handheld is stuttering frames or endless loading times. Caches can help even out the performance curve, ensuring that big draws and textures do not bring the system to its knees. When you tie this approach to a robust upscaling technique like PSSR, the device can potentially render some scenes at a lower resolution internally, then use artificial intelligence to sharpen or increase the detail, delivering a final image that rivals the clarity of more powerful hardware. It is basically a form of little genius inside your device, letting it do more with less. For Sony, such leaps would not merely be beneficial, they might be absolutely necessary. The major competition from the likes of Nintendo's hybrid approach and the various Windows-based handheld PCs poses a formidable challenge. Nintendo's Switch remains beloved because of first-party exclusives and its hybrid console handheld nature, while devices like the Steam Deck cater to a more hardcore PC crowd with a massive library and a thriving modding community. Sony, therefore, needs to ensure that any new handheld stands out in a big way. The question remains, how do you stand out? One angle is user experience. Sony's big brand exclusives, franchises like God of War, The Last of Us, or Spider-Man, are undeniably system sellers. Another angle is raw performance. With AI upscaling, Sony can deliver near PlayStation 5 level visuals, at least on the smaller screen. On top of that, a new custom architecture might effectively future-proof the device for the next several years. If the rumored chipset arrives around the mid-decade mark, it could remain relevant well into the late 2020s, possibly bridging the gap until new console generations arrive. This leads us neatly to the matter of timing. Whispers float around that Sony is seeking a release window that is not so distant. Some say we could see this device announced in late 2024, with retail availability by the end of 2025, or perhaps sliding into 2026. Sony might be taking a careful approach, partly because they do not want to cannibalize the success of the regularly selling PlayStation 5 and the upcoming PlayStation 5 Pro, but also because they want to make sure there is enough third-party developer interest in making handheld-optimized versions of big games. Pushing out hardware without developer enthusiasm can be a recipe for disaster. Look at the PlayStation Vita's library issues for a cautionary tale. Certainly, Sony is not naive to the risk. The Vita remains a sad chapter in the company's handheld history. It launched with fanfare, a gorgeous screen, especially the initial OLED model, and promises of AAA gaming on the go. However, expensive memory cards, limited marketing, and internal corporate confusion about the device's identity led to underwhelming sales. Even though it found a niche among indie developers and Japanese role-playing game enthusiasts, the Vita never enjoyed the mass-market success of the original PlayStation Portable. By 2019, the Vita's official run ended, leaving question marks about whether Sony would ever attempt another portable console. But times have changed. The runaway success of devices like the Nintendo Switch and even the Steam Deck suggests that players do crave quality portable experiences, especially if those experiences are not strictly tethered to streaming or novelty. And ironically, the way technology has advanced, smaller form factors can now do more than ever at feasible price points. That synergy between power and portability might be too tempting for Sony's hardware team to ignore. We can imagine the potential for cross-play integration. If this rumored handheld can sign into one's existing PlayStation Network profile, let players queue up some of the very same experiences they enjoy on their PlayStation 5, and perhaps even handle them natively or with minimal streaming assistance. That synergy alone might drive massive adoption. If people can simply pick up a device and continue their console single-player progress while on a long commute or traveling abroad, that convenience might be enough to hook both casual and hardcore players. At the same time, Sony could sweeten the pot by offering exclusive handheld-only titles or specialized spin-offs of major franchises. Still, skeptics wonder if we are overhyping the rumored technology. The chatter about skipping a generation of AMD's standard mobile chips, waiting for the next big leap, suggests that Sony might be forging a special deal with AMD to get its custom chipset. That also raises the question of cost. Advanced hardware, plus custom licensing, plus any proprietary AI technology can make for a potentially high price tag. Could it approach the cost of a regular console? Or would Sony try to subsidize the device's price, hoping to recoup the difference in software sales? We remember how the high price of certain handhelds stunted adoption in the past. Into this uncertain swirl comes the rumored AMD Infinity Cache spin-off called Mall Cache. said to be present in the device's GPU. Infinity cache was a boon to certain AMD desktop graphics cards, effectively delivering performance leaps that belied their raw clock speeds. If the rumored device indeed integrates something akin to Infinity cache, gamers might see a synergy between AI upscaling and lightning-fast memory management, leading to stable frame rates and fluid gaming experiences. In short, it could be the best of both worlds. Meanwhile, the success of the PlayStation Portal is rumored to have acted as an unexpected green light for Sony's leadership. The Portal, initially dismissed by some pessimists as a glorified streaming screen, apparently found a surprisingly enthusiastic audience. That audience included households with a single main television, families that value the ability to shift gaming away from the living room, or simply tech enthusiasts enthralled by new ways to experience their favorite games. If Sony's upper management was testing the temperature of the handheld waters, the temperature, it turns out, was scorching hot. So you might ask, how exactly will this rumored console differ from the Portal if we are to believe all these insider claims? The short answer: it is rumored to have full-on internal processing, meaning it will not rely entirely on streaming from a PlayStation 5. It might still offer remote play features, but it should also run games natively, harnessing that AMD-based chipset. The difference is night and day. While the Portal is more of a convenience accessory for your existing console, the rumored handheld aims to be an autonomous system, capable of running next-generation games, albeit at lower resolutions, and then using AI to upscale them. If that concept excites you, if you want to see more deep dive coverage into rumored hardware and gaming perspectives, consider subscribing right here. With each new subscriber, we can gauge exactly how much interest there is in these lively analyses, ensuring we bring you the best content about the hottest gaming leads. Now, let us pivot to some controversies and concerns. One big question is the battery. Portable gaming devices, especially those wielding discrete GPUs and advanced chipsets, tend to be power hungry. The Steam Deck is a prime example, with some games draining the battery in just a couple of hours. Sony would have to carefully adjust power profiles, incorporate advanced battery technology, or severely limit performance when the device is not plugged into an outlet. Another question is input and control design. The original PlayStation Portable had a single analog nub. The Vita went with dual analog sticks, but they felt cramped for some users. Could we see a refined, comfortable controller layout in the new device, complete with near DualShock precision? And let us not forget the matter of game library support. Sony's earlier handhelds sometimes struggled to keep new releases flowing. The Vita in particular did not see many of the big cross-platform titles that fans expected. Meanwhile, the Switch soared in popularity not only because of Nintendo's first-party lineup, but because third-party companies started porting many beloved titles. If Sony hopes to dethrone or compete big time, they will need robust third-party backing that sees real potential in the new device's user base. Could we get top-tier shooters, role-playing epics, sports titles, and more, all optimized for a hypothetical Sony handheld 2024 project? If so, that might be enough to tip the scales in Sony's favor. Another fascinating angle is how Japan's gaming market might respond. In Japan, handheld gaming has historically been massive, thanks to commuting culture and a preference for portable experiences. The Switch soared in that region, boosted by local franchises and the ability to play on the go. If Sony truly invests in a handheld with strong local support from Japanese developers, we might see some interesting exclusive titles that never make it to other platforms. That synergy between Sony's domestic support and the global market is a tricky balancing act, but one that could yield spectacular results if done correctly. Let us also address the rumored impetus behind the device's naming or branding. Could it be dubbed the PlayStation Portable 2, referencing the entire legacy of PSP and Vita at once? Or might Sony conjure a completely new moniker that implies synergy with the PlayStation 5? Some marketing experts propose that Sony might incorporate the energy of Portal branding, building an entire family of streaming and high-powered portables under the same umbrella. Only time will tell if that prophecy unfolds. Speaking of time, there is an interesting thread among hardware insiders. The mention that AMD is allegedly not planning to place some advanced upscaling features in their next standard mobile architecture, codenamed something else entirely, and that they might skip a generation to introduce them around 2029. That would put Sony's rumored handheld in a unique position. It could stand alone with AI upscaling for a considerable period, overshadowing the competition in the handheld sphere. Such an exclusive advantage could be the difference between a modestly received product and a smash hit phenomenon. In fact, that exclusivity resonates with Sony's broader strategy of pairing hardware with exclusive content. Think of how the PlayStation 5 soared partly because of huge exclusives that simply could not be played anywhere else. If you add a brand new form factor into the mix, a handheld that can also harness some of these revered exclusives, suddenly you have a compelling reason for gamers to invest in both the home console and the portable device. However, no rumor is complete without addressing potential pitfalls. Could this new handheld come out too late, overshadowed by incremental leaps in streaming technology that eventually allows high-fidelity gaming on any mobile device with a stable online connection? Could the device be priced beyond the reach of many gamers, repeating the Vita's downfall? Could the software lineup replicate the Vita's early missteps, launching with strong first-party excitement only to fizzle out after a few years? The best guess from those who watch the industry is that Sony has learned from the Vita's fate. They may try to lock in strong third-party support, ensure a robust line of launch titles, and utilize their marketing might to brand the device as a natural partner to the PlayStation 5. Furthermore, the success of the Portal might have given them a real-world data point regarding the appetite for portable solutions in the Sony ecosystem. We stand, then, at the cusp of a major announcement, or so the rumor mill suggests. Will Sony confirm these swirling reports in the coming months? Or will they stay silent until a splashy E3 showcase or a dedicated PlayStation event? Whichever path they choose, the stage is set for a dramatic unveiling that could capture the hearts and minds of console and handheld players worldwide. If everything lines up, if the rumored hardware does indeed harness AI upscaling, advanced caching, and a large chunk of memory, it could redefine portable gaming, bridging the gap between home console fidelity and on-the-go convenience. And if you are as excited about dissecting these developments as we are, stay tuned. Your viewership drives these explorations into the cutting edge of gaming technology. Thanks for checking out this illuminating journey into Sony's rumored handheld future. We hope you enjoyed stepping behind the curtain to see how advanced memory, cunning caches, and the spark of AI upscaling might converge into something truly special. Until next time, keep your eyes peeled for more news on the horizon. This is shaping up to be one of the most intriguing projects Sony has dared to tackle in years.